introduce your name and a little bit about your background in aviation.
Well, I don't really have no aviation background, but other than flying in commercial jets and playing when I was younger with a paraglide. But my name's John Steer. I am from Arkansas. I live near Little Rock. I seen this YouTube a couple years ago. I came down here and had a flight last year and checked into it this year, and here I am. This is my better half bear. He is the last puppy out of the litters that my mom and dad raised before my dad died. So he's actually family. And, back in the early 2000s, I traded an old jet ski for a paraglide, and I didn't know nothing about it. It had a reel that went in the rear hitch of a truck with a brake. It was like a front end of an old three-wheeler, and had a rope on it, and my buddy would pull me around. I'd get up treetop level and go crashing to the ground. Been handicapped since 2008. I'm needing something to take up a little bit of my time. I like paragliding on YouTube, and I tried it last year, and I figured I'd come see if my body could handle it. In 2008, I was working, and a buddy of mine was working, and my car had quit on me at my mom and dad's. I had it in a shop, which is about 2.5 hours away from where we was working. And he said, "I'll take you to get your car." It was done. And he said, "You'll have to drive my truck up there and follow me back," because he didn't have a driver's license. So I said, no problem. I wasn't familiar with his truck. It had ball tires on a little four-wheel drive Toyota. I got to a town, Clinton, Arkansas. At the time, it had a slow lane, a fast lane, a fast lane, and a slow lane. So if you had to turn across traffic, you could not get in the center lane. You had to stop in the fast lane. I seen the car in front of me stopping late. I hit the brakes, and when I did, I hydroplaned into the oncoming traffic. Had a head-on collision where it clipped the vehicle. It put the vehicle that I was driving into a spin, popped the passenger side door open, throwed my buddy out, run over him once. Throwed me out. I got caught somehow. It caught me 3 different times. First time it went across me here, broke my neck in 2 places, gave me a brain injury, collapsed my clavicle, collapsed both lungs. I've had a new replacement shoulder on the left side. I'm trying to hold off on the left side or the right side as long as I can. The second time it went across me here. I got 2 20-inch rods and 23 screws from there to there. And the third time, I've had 3 hips on this right side, 2 total hip revisions. I woke up in UMAS a couple months later. They put me through emergency surgeries, but I had so many injuries that I was introduced to coma for a little over 2 months. People didn't know how I was going to do or how I was going to come out of it. When they put me into Baptist Rehab Hospital in Little Rock, the only thing I could do was take a ball and run it across the track, put a star inside a star hole, a round inside a round hole. They said, "We can't do nothing with him in rehabilitation. He can't do nothing." I had a spinal cord injury at T12, so all my lower half did not move, work. I had, like I said, I cathed for years. I've gotten out of cathing in the last 4 or 5 years. I've been without having to cath. A few times I will, but bowel movements were all screwed up. It was rough. The first year and a half I was home from the hospital, I got about 6 to 8 inches. That was because a Hoyer lifter jacked me up, new sheets put under me. I'd even got to the point where I was so constipated, I'd have my mom set me on a bedpan, jack me down to a bedpan just where I could be over it for an amount of time. Like I said, about a year and a half of that. My mission was to get to the bathroom. I wanted to sit on the toilet. I wanted to have a natural bowel movement without all the extras it took to get it flowing. They had to have my bathroom redone because the first wheelchair they sent me home with, I had to have a transfer board from the bed to the wheelchair, and it took 2 people to get me over there. The wheelchair would be laid back because I couldn't sit up for, like I said, a year and a half. Once I got to doing that, I could go to therapy. The only thing I could do at therapy was get in a standing frame, and I could jack myself up and let myself down, jack myself up and let myself down. They said, "Hey man, we got one of these in the back that we're not really using right now. If you'd be willing to use it, we'd let you take it home." I took it home and worked it religiously for about a year and a half, up and down, up and down, up and down, sitting, standing, watching TV for hours on end. I got to where I could get in a wheelchair by myself. My buddy that I had to wreck with had bought me a electric wheelchair where I got mobile. Then once I got mobile, I could get in the vehicle and I could drive it, but I'd have to pick my leg up, put it on the gas, pick it up, put it on the brake, pick it up. I wrecked 2 vehicles in that time. Luckily, one of them I shouldn't have walked away from, but I did. But anyway, I finally got to where I could get a little movement in my toe. I got to where I'd pull myself around on a walker, and I just had enough upper strength. I'd walk with the walker, and I could hold myself still to get another bite with the walker. I'd worked out religiously for about another 2 years on walkers, and about 2013, I started walking a little bit, and I looked like a broke robot because I could just hardly throw my legs forward. I just kept going. You know, I got a little bit.
I want to know why you kept going.
You know, at UMAS in Little Rock, which is a big university medical hospital, I had 4 doctors tell my mom I'd never walk again and that I'd be a vegetable. When I come to in the hospital, I thought I'd been in a bull riding accident because I used to ride bulls when I was a kid. And I thought I'd lost my kids and my brain just wasn't right. I started getting a little bit of memory back here and a little bit there, and people would say stuff and stuff start coming back. And it came back, and I've got pretty much all my memory. It took me a long time to learn to write again. I still can't read my own writing, and other people have the same problem. But no more than what I write, it's not too bad. You know, I sign my name, that's pretty much it. And I was laying in bed, and I would pull. I had a feeding tube in me. I had the ventilator that, you know, both lungs were collapsed. I was on ventilator for a long time. I was laying there in the bed, and the doctor come in and he said, "John, you're never going to walk again." And, you know, I just wasn't right in the mind. I tried pulling the catheter out and it, you know, finding out that it had a bubble on the other end of it. But anyway, the Lord said that they don't know. The Lord told me, he said, "Man, you're going to walk again." And I kept that in the back of my mind, even though I couldn't move for over a year and a half. I mean, I couldn't even feed myself. I could get my hands up here, but I'd be like this, and then it'd just wear down. I don't know if you can tell it or not, but this leg here is about half the size of this leg here. You know, I've had surgery on both knees. This is the crazy part of the story. That was the second time I actually run over myself. I've run over myself one more time since then. I chopped my heel off. I had to have a vacuum suck on my foot for a little over 8 months, and to get the heel pulled back around my heel. But you know, I've gotten pretty good at something. The first time I ran over myself, messed my foot up. Second time it messed my body up. And the third time it messed my foot back up. But I've been blessed my whole life, not only in my surviving with life, but just maintaining my health, because I've been pretty stupid in my younger days. I woke up in a hospital and I thought I'd been in a bull riding accident. That's it. I don't remember. I remember that morning going to work. I don't remember the time I left work to the time I had my accident till the time I woke up in the hospital a couple months later. I don't remember none of that. You know, I didn't see the light. There wasn't nothing like that. You know, I had a good raising. I was baptized as a kid. I seen the goodness of God my whole life, even though I went a little bit stray up until 2019. You know, the proverb says, "Raise up a child in the way he shall go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it." And I did not depart from what I'd been taught as a kid. I'd seen the goodness of God. It was in there, even though I wasn't doing the right thing, and I came back to it. And, you know, I took the better part of half my life, and I'm now trying to give back in a way that maybe not make a difference, but it gives me hope. It gives me something to do. It just gives me a pride of life when I can help someone else out. The mission to be actually just to burn up a little bit of time when I've been sitting at the house. You know, I do a little bit on the weekends at the nursing homes, and I take him to visit. You know, bringing a smile to the old people's face gives me a smile. And, you know, but this here is hopefully going to take up a little bit of the time that I just laying in bed whining for no reason other than my body's just messed up. But like I said, I've been given another chance at this life, and I don't know where it's going to end up, but I know where I've been, and I'm not going back there. You know, not only but the alcohol and drugs has had a part in my life, and you know, the Lord was the main reason for me. The way I got cleaned up, if it happened to everybody like that, there'd be a whole lot more people sober in this world. The rehabs wouldn't be so full. the prisons wouldn't be so full, because people would go from a believer to a knower. I went from a believer to a knower in just a matter of minutes one morning. It was the most awesome experience that I'll ever have. I would do anything to have that experience again, but if you get it once and you don't learn from it, I don't believe there'll be a second time. You know, I had direct people said, oh, that's what it took to get your attention. Well, that's true. It got my attention to a certain extent, but I still wasn't done. You know, I got sober in my life many different times for different reasons. I got sober for the ex-wife. I got sober for going back to mom and dad. I got sober for a job. But when I got sober for myself, you know, you have a whole different outlook of life. You have a whole different reason for the next day being better than the last day. And, you know, it's just a work in progress. When someone gets it in their mind that they are going to be held accountable for what they've done down here on earth, when you believe that, you'll change something, you know, especially if you're doing the things that I was doing. You know, not only in my life did I mess up, but I messed up several other people's life. Being, you know, in Matthew 7:12, it says, in everything do unto others you have them do unto you. I had that in the places where I was given things that they didn't need. I was given an amount that they couldn't handle. And, you know, it messed up people. And not only messed them up, but messed their family's life up. And, you know, people are still in and out of prison because of the actions and the things that I started them off on. Not saying they wouldn't have got into it later in life, but they wouldn't have been given to them, and it wouldn't have been so available. And you know, just things that I look back now on I wish I wouldn't have done. You know, life's a learning process, and you learn every day, and if you're not learning, you don't need to be repeating. Well, the girl I talked to that was up north somewhere, I had told her that
when I first spoke with Aviator, can we start with that?
Yeah, when I first spoke with Aviator, she said that this was a foot launch program, but they would transfer me into the trike. Well, they had it up there, but it didn't get relayed down here. I told her I had a service dog and everything, and when I got down here and they're going through the foot launch procedures and things, I'm like, hey, am I even in the right place? And they said, we're not sure. Let's talk to somebody. Well, I was kind of down there for the first 24 hours just wondering if I'd made a trip down here for nothing. But after I talked with Mike the next day and he gave me a flight and gave me an opportunity, I want to thank him for that. You know, he could have said no right off the bat and give me my money back, and it would have been a bad day. But thank God everything worked out, and here I am just one day away from going home with a trike, and things are looking real nice.
Right. So now let's kind of go back to the tandem experience, getting in the air with Mike for the first time, the challenges you face with potentially steering, so you don't have to worry about that on trike in the tandem because he's doing all the steering. But how was it taking off and experiencing tandems for the first time?
It was great until we landed and my feet came off the steps and it knocked his foot off the gas. So now he wasn't cussing, but he was like, oh, you got to keep your feet up there. And now we Velcro my feet down to the pegs where we don't have to worry about that happening again. But I don't have much strength in my legs, but I do have enough to turn the trike. And like I said, I'm blessed. No, after I talked to you about getting this trike that I purchased out here now, I knew I was going to get it or end up dead, because I was going to go home and put the thing in the air somewhere and see what goes on. But I believe I've got enough skill now I can do it fairly safely. I hope so, because he's going to be going with me in the next couple of weeks. Took me a little while to get the wing stable over my head, but the first time we took off, I thought I was going to take off on the day before I took off, but it didn't work out. When I did take off, I felt good. You know, I came back around for the landing. It didn't scare me. It didn't really bother me. I didn't really know what I was doing, but between the yelling on the radio and the throttle, we made it to the ground. And the first couple were all right. The next couple were kind of messed up, but it was, like they say, it was one day good and one day bad, one day good and one day bad. Well, that's the way it was for me, and this last day has worked out pretty well. And you know, but it's all in a learning experience. And with the way the radios are set up, and you know, I've got bad hearing, and we've tried several different methods of me getting the commands right off the bat. And we got it lined out where it went back to the way we started. And but as far as taking off on the trike and doing it, I felt plenty comfortable. It didn't bother me a bit. I loved it. My instruction with Mike was I didn't know if he had enough faith in me to keep on going with it after my foot slid off that deal the first time. The first time we was in the shop with the trike, he was thinking about drilling an extra hole in the arm that went to the front wheel. And I was really amazed with the time and effort that he was even putting into someone like me and the abilities that he's seen I didn't have. But yet we're still trying, and we ended up with the Velcro straps, and I was so happy that day. I was like, there's not too many people I feel that would have took that chance on me, but they took a chance on me, and I want to thank everybody for that, because that could have been I was down the first day. I was like, man, they're going to give me my money back, and I'm going to be going home, and it didn't work out like that. So as far as the instructions, they were clear, they were on point. I was failing to listen there for a little while just because I wasn't clear with what I was supposed to be doing. I was pumping the brakes a little early instead of waiting until the wing started back. We got that lined out, and the road became a lot easier from there. Well, if you can ride a bike, you can try this. I know that the weight and people's back issues, I can't do that because the land would be too hard on if you don't do it right, they're hard on you. But it's well worth a try, and it's not as hard on you once you start to get it. It does so much for your head that you forget about all the other things that's going on. Especially when you're up there and you're just got one brake in one hand and one brake in the other hand, and you can go right and you can go left. It's as free as you can be, and I love that part about it. But as far as people with diversities or handicaps, like I said, if you can ride a bike, you can do this.
Can you ride a bike?
I can ride a bike a little bit. It took me. I don't ride a bike now because I don't have the strength in my legs, especially on a little incline. Or I can ride a motorcycle though, and he'll ride with me. I'll put a little platform on the bike, and we go for a ride. But I need to get away from that. It's quite dangerous.
I would say so, and you're about to put them in the air. You
don't
have wings, dog.
But I don't have to counterweight the weight on my legs when I'm in the air. The instructor saying you either got this or go home, and that's not what he said, go home, but he said either you got this or you don't. And I just shut up and tried to listen best I can. Not that I'm usually the one asking the questions, but not that I want people to feel sorry for me, but I'm trying to do what they're doing, but I'm tugging a little bit behind. Don't feel sorry for me, don't wait for me, but I'm coming. And he said either you got this or you don't. And I tell you can believe something long enough, and if you believe it long enough and you believe it hard enough, you'll know something at the end, whether it be you want to do that or whether you don't want to do that, whether you want to get sober, whether you don't want to get sober. Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 19 and 20 says, I am the Lord your God. Walk in my statutes, keep my judgment and do them, and hallow the Sabbath, and there'll be a sign between me and you that you will know that I am the Lord your God. And I am so blessed that I am a knower, because I believed for a lot of years. But you can believe a lot of different things, but until you know something, you're just the same old person. You got people putting up with you, you got people listening to you, you got all these things going on around you. But when you can come in contact with the Creator, what is it? Romans 10:9 says that if we confess with our mouth and believe in our heart that God has raised him from the dead, we shall be saved. And people say, saved from what? I'll tell you, it's saved from eternal separation from our Creator, and we don't want that. I can't tell you how good heaven is, but I can't tell you how bad hell is. But I can promise you'd rather be with the Creator than with Satan. And it's for real as the day is long. I went from a time in my life where I was running on the left field all over, the right field I was out there. And the Lord showed me a sign that I become a knower, and I'm going to tell it to as many people as I can, because all people need is an opportunity to give God a chance to show something in their life. And this is one of the things God showed me. You believe it, you can do it. And you know, it's life. We live it. And if we listen to the Lord, and that's the biggest part about following the Lord, is you got to repent, you got to believe, and you got to obey. And that's pretty much the way it is with any job you got, or anything you do. You got to say, I'm sorry for my mess ups. I believe I can fix them. And if I listen, I know I'll do better. And it's life. Live it. Live it.